Dipheko, and we are in the ring. Yeah, and today, last week actually, I mentioned that knowledge is found at the feet of the elders when we were interviewing an elder. But today, I'm going to have to say, the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know. And today we're rolling this day with a legend. I want to call her a legend. She's a bodybuilder. She studied. She studied metaphysical, and she knows a lot. She's a friend. I have invited her, and today we're cruising with her. That's a Genevieve Botha. Good day, Genevieve.
Good morning. How are you?
Is it morning?
It's
Yes. Okay. Okay.
a very cold morning.
Yes. Now, nice seeing you. And now we're not exercising.
No.
We're going to talk. We're going to have fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Genevieve, can you tell us what you've studied and what have you participated in as a bodybuilder?
Okay, from my bodybuilding career, I'm a pro athlete with the WBFF. I have done well over 6 international shows from London, Canada, and the US. And I've just recently completed my degree in metaphysical sciences, which gives me a broader knowledge on how the mind works, the soul, and basically how alternate medical therapies can be quite beneficial.
Meaning you can, okay,
Yes.
it's fine. Okay, that's good.
So a holistic approach, not just a physical approach, a holistic approach.
So you're not gonna hypnotize us?
No. No.
Okay. Yeah. So I've learned a lot, but there are things that you talk about when we
train.
we have friendly talks,
Yes.
and you know so much, especially about PEDs. So
Yes, yeah, that is, without advocating or subscribing, or actually saying to anyone out there that yes, they must or whatever. I do have a broad range of knowledge, quite a lot of knowledge and experience around PEDs. So I wouldn't just be speaking off the bat. There's a lot of caution around them, but unfortunately in most sports today, unless you want to be competitive, it's prolific, I'm afraid. It's just something you can't get away from.
So do we have legal PEDs?
No. Unfortunately, we don't have legal PEDs unless you go to a sports doctor and it is prescribed for you. But within the realm of the competitive athlete, it's not legal in terms of taking it to the competition. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't, you will be tested, you can't, it gives you an advantage over someone who would not, in other words, take it. It does give you an advantage. It doesn't take away the hard work.
Okay.
It just gives you, I would say, a 25% advantage over someone who doesn't take it, for instance.
Wow.
But,
so okay. I guess we have different PEDs.
yes, there are different PEDs. PEDs are categorized according to their androgenic and anabolic spectrum.
Okay.
So some androgenic being hormonal, how it's going to affect your male, female hormones, and anabolic is your growth, like your growth factor. How much is it going to affect your growing, your muscle growth and quality of your muscle. So a lot of the male PEDs will have a very high androgenic profile, so they're going to affect your hormones, your testosterone output, and by virtue of that, they have a higher anabolic. So it is going to be unfair.
So when a lady takes, let's say a female takes
a PED.
A PED, yes, that's So what happens to the testosterone?
Okay, if if you are, okay, I'm not saying that I have all the answers.
Yes.
I have a lot of experience, but a woman should not take a very high androgenic steroid. It's
Okay.
going to masculinize her. She will start having problems like hardening of arteries, high blood pressure, cholesterol. That's just to name a few. Then there's the masculinization, hair loss, hair growth on the face, deepening of the voice. All of those things will play a role. Those are just the subtle things, you know. I wouldn't subscribe to that, and I think that women should be very careful. There are only, in my knowledge, 3 that a woman can take that are perfectly safe.
Okay, but can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What happens then to the female sexual organ?
It will grow. Unfortunately, that is just, you know, it's not something they talk about because nobody wants to be indelicate about it, but it's going to grow whether they acknowledge it or not. But
what exactly grows? The clitoris? Or?
Yes, yeah, that
So
does grow.
Gets
But not only that, your ovaries will start to shrink,
Sure.
and your uterus will invert, and there will be other problems that will start to present itself in terms of your own. You could enter you could be perimenopausal and then enter early menopause simply by taking it. But that's we're talking people that abuse it, and in today's sport. Unfortunately, there's that more is better philosophy, which is not true. You should never chase your dosage, and you should always give your body a chance to come back from that. And if you play by those rules, you won't have those problems. You won't have any inverting of the uterus and growth in the clitoris and deepening of the voice, because then it gives the chance to come back from that, because you haven't overstepped the mark.
Okay, so what do you mean giving your body a chance to come
So
back
you
from
clean
that?
up, you clean up your receptors, you get off it, you rebalance your hormones, your female hormones, and the preconceived notion that women, because we have estrogen, don't need to post-cycle is an absolute fallacy. If anything, we need to post-cycle just as much, because that increase in estrogen is just as bad for us as it is for a man. Just because it's our native hormone doesn't mean that an increase won't cause breast cancer and other things.
Wow, this is actually amazing. And I come to think of, sure, this is scary.
You have
so,
to.
but what when you say clean,
Okay, clean,
you
clean.
mean detox?
Yes, but yeah, you've got to detox, you've got to come off
Yes.
it. Obviously, you can never go cold turkey with any of these things. You've got to cycle off, and then you rebalance your hormones with post-cycle therapy, and even cycle off that. So you need a good 3 to 4 months between each growth cycle to actually clean up your receptors in your brain, your hormone receptors, everything, so that even your estrogen is being metabolized in the right way. Because a lot of breast cancers come from estrogen being not metabolized properly. So that's where you get the breast lumps and all of that thing. So you've got to approach it with caution. Everything, you know, a lot of people, the human spirit, human nature, will die for approval. That is fundamental fact of human nature. We all seek approval. So in a competitive realm, we all want to be the best. So sometimes, given the risks, people will overlook the risks despite what they see on paper as concrete. They will overlook those risks because they want the approval more. And you see that happening with a lot of the big bodybuilders today. They overuse, despite what the doctors have told them, despite following the proper protocols of detoxing, coming clean, and they follow it. I mean, never in history has there been such a prolific athlete loss as we've had in the last 5 years, where athletes have been dropping like flies. simply from overuse.
Sure.
They will use it despite what the doctor says.
The recent one was this guy. Just as now, his name just
Yes,
slipped
the
my
very
mind.
young.
The young
Yes,
one
and
who's
he looked very lean, and he
yes,
looked very
yes.
fit, and he had the McDonald's burgers laid out in front of him like he could just eat whatever he liked. But you need to look at the extenuating factors there, Dida. Firstly, you don't know what's going on in his body. He's probably taking, and this is just my opinion from looking at his physique, he's probably taking tren, okay, which is the all-forgiving king of PEDs, okay?
Sure.
But tren hardens the arteries. Tren gives lack of elasticity to the heart itself, never mind an enlarged heart, okay? So there you have your high blood pressure, and you have the lack of elasticity in the arteries. Second, he had probably had his vaccination like all of us, and COVID is a thrombotic disease, which means it thickens the blood. And he's competing, which means he's probably on diuretics to get that very lean, thin tissue paper skin. So there you've made the blood even more sluggish, okay? Then he's going and he's upsetting his liver by eating shit because he thinks it's okay and the steroids are going to fix him. So now we have a perfect storm. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We've created the perfect storm simply by lack of knowledge. We've created the perfect storm. So then he has a heart attack or an aortic dissection, and everybody wonders why. But you just have to look at what he's doing to understand there's going to be consequences to that.
Sure. So
if you are going to take PEDs, and I caution every single athlete, if you're going to take PEDs, you need to make sure you're clean eating, and you're not double dosing, and you've got to be very careful about what it is you take on top of that. You've got to make sure your health is optimal. You've got to make sure you're fit. You're not just packing on the muscle. Your heart has got to be fit. It's got to be flexible. Because 300 pounds of muscle is the same as 300 pounds of fat. It's going to take you just as much effort to get up the stairs as it would a 300-pound fat person. You've got to be fit. You've got to make sure you're flexible. You have got to take care of your health even more than the average person who's not taking it.
Because, Jen, one day I was at the gym and this big guy, huge, he was looking very good. You know, everybody was looking at that guy because he was so attractive, like, you know, muscular.
Yes.
Then he went on a treadmill, and 5 minutes on the treadmill, he just
got
and he was.
Then you must understand that the heart itself, if he could not do that, the heart itself cannot keep up with the amount of muscle mass he has. And that is the biggest problem today.
Sure. So what do you recommend for?
Don't just be a muscle junkie. Just focus on your fitness as well, your output, your oxygen input and output. Make sure that that is sufficient to carry 300 pounds of muscle. Otherwise, why put it on? Why put your body under that kind of strain?
Yeah. This is scary, and I guess without knowledge, we are a doomed nation. We are a doomed society. That's why we need people like you. I need people like you. You know, and Jen,
but it just makes sense, Dida. I mean, people they're very close-minded in the community of bodybuilding, and they don't realize, because they don't want to sacrifice muscle in order to do cardio.
Yes.
But they don't realize also that, you know, if you don't have a driver's license, you can't drive a car. Same with that muscle. If your heart is not fit enough, something's going to give. It's going to happen.
Wow. So, Jen, what do you recommend for high performance athletes, like boxers? What do they use it? Do they use PEDs?
I wouldn't go as far as saying they don't, because everybody wants a competitive edge.
Because I remember there's a boxer, a good middleweight boxer. They call him. His name is Canelo. It was found in his blood, and he said it's the meat that he ate.
No, if you're going to find it, it's going to be right there. You can't blame it on the protein
meat.
that you're eating or the meat, because that by the time it's processed, it's good and properly. It will affect you, but not to the degree that an actual PED is going to affect you. And they look for those specifically. They look for those particular compounds, like oxandrolone and trenbolone, and they look for those compounds in your blood. So you can't just say, I mean, they're not feeding cows, Trent. Let me be honest with you.
Yeah, that's true. That's
They're
true.
not.
That's true.
So,
That's true. But can a boxer get
No.
a heart attack while using those?
while using PEDs?
Yeah.
Absolutely, and with an absolute certainty, if he's not making sure he follows the correct protocols, doing his cardio, making sure he's fit enough for the muscle he's carrying, making sure that he does all his blood work and his protocols, and make sure his heart is healthy, that he's not overstraining the ticker, and he's got flexibility. You know, you've got to understand, men have a higher risk of heart disease and hardened arteries simply because they've got testosterone.
Oh.
Women that take testosterone will then increase their risk to a male risk because we don't have as much. So we're not as susceptible to that as you would be. So the same common sense is applied to someone who's already got a high risk, is going to add to that risk. He needs to be careful. He needs to protect his heart. He needs to take things like CoQ10 and keep his stress levels, his cortisol low, make sure he's eating right, make sure his cholesterol, his LDL is not too high, because you can go and have your cholesterol checked. And in most instances, unless you ask for the breakdown, they're only going to give you a general. So say your cholesterol is low, for instance, and you're feeling really good, and you think you're all healthy, but maybe it's low generally, but your LDL is still very high, and that is your bad cholesterol. Okay, you want to make sure that is low, because that is the one that gives you the plaque and the heart attacks and all of that stuff. You want to make sure that you're paying attention. It's like, you can't put 93 in a Lamborghini, for heaven's sake. What is it going to do to the Lamborghini? You now converted your body to a machine. You've got to pay attention to how that engine is running. You can't just put PEDs in your mouth, you know, pick up some heavy weights and just go like a monkey. You've got to pay attention. Your fuel, your food, your cardio, your health, your stress levels, your sleep. It all
So you need to sleep enough, to have enough sleep.
Sleep is critical with recovery. Critical. You need 8 hours sleep. And any good athlete will tell you it's critical. No sleep means no muscle gain, no fat loss. Simple as that. High cortisol levels, your fat increases.
So, Jen, you know, when I used to box, there were these fighters who came in. I would hear that they were 3 kilograms overweight before the day of the weigh-in, right? And on the day of the weigh-in, they making weight, né? And on the day of the fight, which is the following day, they've gained about 5 kilograms.
Yes, and they're bigger.
They're bigger.
Well, then the simple answer to that would be diuretics. They've done a water drop. We, as bodybuilding athletes, it's starting to become less mainstream now because we're finding healthier alternatives to get the water out of the general body area and back into the muscle where it makes you look bigger. But a water drop and diuretics is an easy way to drop 2 or 3 kilos overnight, like that in a matter of hours.
Wow, so that's...
It doesn't necessarily mean, though, that athlete...
But is it a drug?
The diuretic is a drug. It's a hardcore drug. And some of them are actually blood pressure. They work on blood pressure. So you could have Lasix. Lasix is, they call it a looping diuretic. And then you have aldactone. And then you have hydrochlorothiazide. Hydrochlorothiazide is a heart medication that just happens to have the side effect being a diuretic.
Okay.
So it will lower the blood pressure, and in doing so, it drops water. So
So you sweat more?
No, you don't necessarily sweat more, you urinate more. The kidneys
Oh.
produce much more. They draw the water out of the body and
So
eliminate it.
the side effect could be a kidney failure or
Oh,
something.
definitely. Overused diuretics, you will definitely get kidney failure. Definitely, 100%. In fact, not only can you get kidney failure, you could get, like specifically with bodybuilders in general, they tend to bulk up at the last, like carb up, in the last couple of days after a diuretic with potassium. And a lot of if you're taking a potassium sparing diuretic, for instance, you can get potassium poisoning. And potassium poisoning, too much potassium in the body, actually physically stops the heart. So that's just one of its things, potassium. So in correct doses, electrolytes in correct doses is what the body needs for the heart to start pumping. But give it too much potassium, which you get in potatoes and bananas. Some of them carve up on 2 kilos of potatoes, 1 kilo of bananas. They get massive because when you've dropped all that water, your muscles just literally suck it all up.
Wow.
It literally,
Wow.
I can't explain the exact physiological process.
The muscle gets hungry.
Yes,
so
the depletion just sucks it all out.
Wow.
And in doing so, the heart being a muscle, which everybody seems to forget, there's your potassium poisoning, and you just basically stop the heart. And there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do.
Sure.
Once you've passed that point, you're going to, that's it, it's done.
So it makes sense why some boxers
And
get dehydrated in the ring.
Yes, because they're already dehydrated the day before. But one of the other things you also need to note is the organs of the body, when you've put one under strain, say for instance the liver, with the toxicity of PEDs and the rest, the liver will take up the strain until it cannot anymore. Then when it cannot take the load, the kidneys will start taking the load. And sometimes it's not actually the heart that's given in, because kidney failure will present as a heart attack. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you'll have a heart attack because your kidneys were not able to filter properly. So that then, the knock-on effect, if you follow the chain of damage, was probably the toxicity to the liver in the first place.
Wow.
And then you hampered the kidney's ability to take up the strain by diuretics.
So the best way is to get a prescription from a doctor.
Yes, and have a doctor oversee the process, have a doctor oversee your bloods. Be responsible if you're going to take the risk. Don't be a monkey.
Must be expensive.
It is, but unfortunately this is an expensive sport. You know, if you don't buy a Lamborghini if you cannot pay for the tires. Don't. That's just stupid. It's just unfortunately what it takes. If you want to live and you want to be healthy and you want to see yourself into the 50s, be responsible. You know, a trophy is not worth your life. Honestly, it's not worth your life. Yes, I get the approval, I get the acknowledgement. Everybody wants it. We all want to feel like we've achieved something, but it's not worth your life.
Wow. That is true, and I guess that goes to every athlete. Every athlete that's taking part in actually
a competitive sport wants to be the best, and that's what makes it so exciting. But it's not worth your life.
Because if you have a goal, you even forget about your life. You forget. You focus on the goal.
You do.
Only to realize after that you've damaged so much in your body.
Yeah, and a lot of it is you can't come back from it. I've seen bodybuilders living on dialysis, complete and utter kidney failure that they probably caught just in time. One more competition and they'd be dead. You know, it's a matter of time. You've got to be careful and responsible. Follow the protocols. Listen to your doctor. Don't be stubborn. If he says enough now, you've damaged your kidneys past what they can endure, then it is enough. Enough. Don't do it anymore.
So you definitely have survived.
Yes, I
Oh,
think I've survived because
yeah,
I err on the
because
side of caution for everything. I don't put anything in my mouth unless I've read up on it first. I read the whole list of side effects, and if it contraindicates with one thing, I don't take it. Unfortunately, that's just how I am.
wow.
I will not take anti-inflammatories if I've taken a PED. I'm not stupid. I will not go and follow all of, I won't just blindly shove medicine in my mouth and hope for the best. You know, because that's how, what do you call it, deadly cocktails are created.
Yeah. Oh.
So you've got to be very careful.
So, ladies and gentlemen, PEDs are not that bad. I don't want to say that they are bad because bodybuilders are using and some athletes are using them.
Yes, it's prolific
so
and it gives you the advantage. It doesn't take away the hard work though. Let me just put that
Okay.
right there out in the open for everybody who has judged a bodybuilder for taking them and said, oh, he's just taking steroids. It's not the case. In fact, the person who is taking steroids is working triply hard. They're working harder than you are to get the results because they want them so badly.
Okay, but
So
that doesn't make them.
Don't ever take that achievement away from them because they are working very hard. It doesn't take away the work that is involved. Steroids only give you the hormonal advantage to build the muscle, and they give you the recovery advantage over inflammation. That's it. And protein synthesis, that's all they give you. They're not doing the work for you. They are not doing the deadlift at 100 kilos for you. They are not doing that. They're not pushing out that extra rep. You are.
Okay. Yeah, but okay, guys, we're not encouraging this. We're not encouraging PEDs.
No,
We don't encourage them. And athletes should work hard.
Yes.
And achieve, their goals, whatever they are achieving fairly.
Put in the hard work.
Without getting an unfair advantage over the ones that are competing with them. Again, to boxers, to runners, this is not good. PEDs are not good. PEDs, you will get a random test and you are gonna get disqualified. So we don't need that. And Jen, you know what? I've learned so much, and I believe everybody has learned through this channel. What we're doing is to give you information.
There are other alternatives, Dida, to illegal PEDs.
Okay.
You know, you have other herbal, I would say alternative therapies that stimulate testosterone output and protein synthesis. You've got Tonka Ali, you've got ZMA.
Where do you get those?
You can get
marijuana or?
No, you can get them from Diskin.
I'm saying in which where do you get those contents?
Those active ingredients.
Yes,
most of them come from plants and trees. You know, Tonka Ali is actually native to Africa, and then ZMA is zinc. So it's really just a combination of minerals and things that stimulate the body's output and support the production of testosterone and hormones. You've got Tribulus terrestris, which is an Indian Ayurvedic, and you've got turkesterone, which is also another Ayurvedic. Turkesterone is relatively new, but it's had some really good...
I'm listening to you, Jen, and I don't know what you're talking about.
We've had some relatively good feedback on it, and it's safe. So you can't overdose on it, and there is no liver damage or hepatic damage from those things. They only support the production and the output. Wow. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they're not actual hormones.
But in muscle growth, right? Are they as fast the PEDs that we spoke about, like the
If you
steroids, are
were,
they?
okay, if you were a relatively uninitiated athlete
Yes.
and your receptors were clean and you've never
Yes.
taken
Yes.
PEDs before,
Yeah.
they will be as strong for you as if you had taken a PED. They will work as potently for you because your receptors are clean. But should you take actual PEDs and then try and expect the same response,
Yes.
it's going to take much longer. Much longer.
Okay.
It's actually just, it's perspective.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes. Yes.
Because anything that's not dangerous of a herbal nature, of a plant nature, is always going to take much longer.
Oh wow. Wow.
You see, in the herbal field, what happens is a plant will produce, and this goes for most plants, most healing plants. A plant will produce an active ingredient, okay, which will be quite potent. But along with that active ingredient, you will have a whole lot of other enzymes and ingredients that will balance out the side effects. So that plant as a whole has a balancing effect. Whereas pharmaceuticals take that active ingredient out, they multiply it, and they give you only the active ingredient, and then the body has no balancing effects. Then you start having the side effects, the headaches, the diarrhea, the gastrointestinal disturbances. You have all of that because there's none of the other enzymes to counteract that. So that's why herbal remedies are that much healthier for you, because it's a whole balance as opposed to one potent ingredient.
Wow. Wow. So let's eat plants.
Well, yeah.
Like
let's eat
animals.
plants.
Yeah. Like let's eat plants.
Plant remedies will always be homeopathic, and herbal remedies will always be the healthier, gentler, more balanced approach.
Jen, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Meat, especially we get protein from
meat.
Yes.
I'm not a vegan, and I will eat meat till kingdom come.
Okay. Okay, yeah, but you look at a let's say a cow.
Yes. So it's
and
herbivore.
eat beef.
Yeah.
Where does it get?
So if a cow eats grass, then I'm eating a plant-based food.
So we can go straight to grass.
No,
and eat grass.
No, I'm just going to
We can go. We can just.
No, I don't think so.
All of us attack grass because we want to get big muscles. We want to get protein, proper protein. Because I mean, we eat beef.
Yes, but there are plants like broccoli, spinach. There are plants that have higher profiles. Soya that have protein in them. But you're just going to have to eat huge amounts of them. And say, for instance, broccoli, being a green plant, has another particular enzyme that is actually quite harmful. Kale has got the same enzyme that's harmful to the human body and actually any other organic body, because it's put there to stop any animal from overeating it. Because it needs to carry on growing. You know, it's sustain life. It needs to sustain its own life. So it's a protective thing. It's a protective enzyme. So it'll stop that goat or that sheep or that cow from eating too much of it. Same applies to the human body. If we eat kilos of broccoli, we are going to get sick. And you cannot eat enough broccoli.
Anything that you overeat will make you sick. No matter how healthy it is, it will make you sick.
It will make you sick. And again, you will have to eat huge amounts of broccoli to get the same amount of protein you would get from a piece of meat. So it's not feasible.
Wow. That's beautiful.
I challenge any vegetarian to call me out on that. Because I'm sorry, I'm putting my head on the block because I've seen vegetarians and I've seen meat eaters together doing the same sport, and the output is just not the same.
Who develops more or quicker?
The meat eater, the protein eater.
That's
the one
amazing.
who puts protein first comes first, unfortunately.
It's amazing.
And I mean, I'm probably going to get shot to hell for that, but it's my opinion and in my experience.
Wow. Jen has been there. She's done that. And I trust her because some stuff that she talks about, I don't know. at all. It's the first time I hear some stuff that she's mentioned. And Jen, I guess we've come to the end of our show, and I hope everybody has
It's been
learned.
interesting.
And I want to thank you.
And yes, I'm open to other people's opinions. I'm not perfect. I don't know absolutely everything there is to know. I learn as I go, and it's just a matter of being open to that learning experience, that growth. So by all means, if somebody's got a
Beautiful
valid
people,
opinion,
we're
give
waiting
it.
for your comments. If you against what Janice said, or you wanna make an input, please do. You're welcome to
Yes,
do so.
I'm always open to learning new ways to do things, and if you can find a plant that's got more protein than a cow, sweet, I'll take your
Let's
advice.
eat that plant. Let's eat that plant.
Take your
Yeah. Say, okay. I wanted to mention something. It will come. It will come. It's Louis Farrakhan, who said, the intelligent don't look at the title; they look at the content. I love that about you.
Yes.
And means you are intelligent. You don't just look at the title; you look at the content.
Yes.
And I think that's what we should do. And we've come to the end of our show. And thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you again some
you,
other
Dida.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.